Hello, I wanted to share my railroad hat collection, and I wanted to start out with the first hat that I got, the more recent hat I got, and that was a Chicago Great Western Railway hat. I always liked the Lucky Strike look to it and the colors and such, so I thought that was pretty neat, and I got the hat, and it has bloomed into quite a collection of hats. I like mostly fallen flag type hats, and I like wearing hats when I go on various trips to kind of represent the area or the train or the routes that I'm on, whether I'm actually on a train trip or a non-train type trip. I set these up geographically. I'll start down here in the corner with the Florida East Coast Railroad. Have an interest in the Overseas Railroad that ran from Miami down to Key West, and that's why I bought the hat. I do have to say I wish the patch was a little bit bigger than it is, but it represents the Florida East Coast. I do not have a lot of Southeast or any really Southeast Railroad stuff. That's why there's this little gap here. But going north, I pick up with the C&O. I got this hat before I went on a Cardinal trip in the fall of 2018. And then I went back, and I had this hat for some time. Went back on the Cardinal in the fall of 18. This hat, people like this hat even when I wear it beyond railroad enthusiasts. But above that, I have a Pennsylvania hat. Correction, I wish I had a Pennsylvania hat. I have a New York Central hat. I do need a Pennsylvania hat, but I don't know when that will come about. Going over here, you got the nickel plate. Nickel plate is Upper Midwest Railroad, or going out Buffalo, basically St. Louis, Chicago, part of Norfolk Southern now. You have the Wabash, also part of Norfolk Southern. Then you have the Monon, which ran Chicago, Indianapolis, and Louisville, hence their name. Taking back a step here, the C&O and B&O are now part of CSX. The New York Central is kind of a split between Norfolk Southern on the west end and CSX on the east end. Coming over here, the the EJ&E, which really was a railroad until more recent times, until it was taken over by CN. Chicago and Eastern Illinois, Chicago, Louisville, St. Louis, Southern Illinois, split between the Union Pacific, originally the MOPAC, Missouri Pacific, and the L&N, and then the CSX. GM&O became part of the Illinois Central Gulf, and eventually kind of got split up. Chicago St. Louis is now UP, and south of there it's kind of a mixed bag. I'm really not familiar with all the details of the south end of the GM&O. Illinois Central became part of Illinois Central Gulf in the early 70s, eventually became Illinois Central again, and then became part of Canadian National. A few subsidiary railroads came out of the Illinois Central, like the Paducah and Louisville, and the Chicago Central, which ran Chicago to Iowa on the old Iowa division. Here's a BN hat, that safety hat that I have, kind of representing the Chicago area. Above there you got the Northwestern. Northwestern is now part of the Union Pacific. Chicago Great Western merged into the Northwestern. Really not a lot of it left. A little bit that is I believe Union Pacific from Waterloo to Olean. Burlington route, part of the Burlington Northern Santa Fe. Another Granger route. Great Western, Northwestern, Burlington, and then down here the Rock Island, all part of the Granger roads. Upper Midwest Railroads, kind of the area that I have the most interest in because I reside in the Upper Midwest. MKT, Missouri, Kansas, Texas, now part of the UP. Ran basically St. Louis, Kansas City, down into various parts of Texas. Going back through here, you got the UP, representing kind of the east end of the UP. Above here I have my two Northwestern railroads. This is a Granger and Northwest Pacific Railroad, the Milwaukee Railroad I basically grew up closest to. Great Northern, a lot of people like this hat too. non-railroad enthusiasts. Coming back down, the overland route of the UP, one of the earlier markings and shields. Denver, Rio Grande, main line through the Rockies. Wore that on my California Zephyr trip. And then you got the Santa Fe hat. Worn that a few times on various trips on the Chief and just out and about going out west. The A&P was the Santa Fe west of basically Albuquerque to Needles. So that's a real fallen flag. Salt Lake route, pretty much my most interested railroad. Salt Lake City to Los Angeles, the San Pedro, Los Angeles, and Salt Lake Railroad through Las Vegas, kind of my hangout. This hat I just got, 1869, Great Racer Promontory. Of course, 150 years to the Golden Spike being driven in Promontory Point, Utah. Got the little train tracks on it, kind of a neat hat. And then last, I'll say not least, but Southern Pacific, kind of representing the West Coast. Kind of remember, you got Portland all the way to New Orleans, through Arizona. My interests, besides the upper Midwest, just because residing here, probably in the southwestern railroads, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Nevada, Southern California mostly. So that's kind of representing that area. But just wanted to take a few minutes to walk through my hat collection and take a look at them. Of course, there's always some gaps, southeastern gaps, southern, a few of those railroads, Pennsylvania, as I mentioned earlier. And I'm sure there's a few here and there that I've missed, but I think I have a pretty good representation of rail routes, fallen flags through most of the United States. And as I said, I wear these hats when I take trips. I wear them when I'm in town, just doing my thing, and that's sharing my railroad hat collection. Have a great day.